I think the art is actually happening while the performances are going on. You know, I think between live art and between people trying out new material, I think that as an audience member, Fringe brings you right into where art is actually happening and being created, and that's what makes Fringe such a spectacular festival.
I guess I started being involved in the arts. I did a music degree, and so I majored in classical singing and classical voice and piano. So started my career, I guess, as a singer and a musician for a few years, but quite quickly realised I liked being on the other side of things, the organising of the events rather than being on the stage, I suppose.
Well, as a publicist, I've always preferred working in the arts more than any other category.
Yeah.
Mostly because I always want to enhance and improve the experience for artists, to increase their audiences, to help them become artists and stay artists by supporting their projects and their performances.
If it's possible, do you think you could run through your main or primary responsibilities as the Fringe director?
Yeah, sure. So there's two big areas, and one of them is the operational leadership of the festival. So it's things like recruiting staff and hiring an excellent team to do a lot of the delivery work, but doing a lot of framework planning for the festival, like what the Fringe Hub looks like, how we engage with artists and venues throughout the year, structures in terms of ticketing and those other operational aspects. We have a really great team that run those programs, but in the first half of the year, a lot of my job is setting that up. The second half of what I do is some of the creative leadership. It's an interesting space to be in as a Fringe festival because definitely it's not curated, and I'm not an artistic director in that sense. But as a creative director, it's more about the programs that we present and looking at the creative content and really making sure that the work that we're presenting and supporting is connecting with the ideas that are coming out of art.
That sounds like an enormous job to try to sort of gauge where the artistic community is and run with it. Is there something that you've found particularly challenging this year?
I think that in some cases, I might get frustrated because artists haven't provided me with high-res photos.
Mm-hmm.
So, making sure that the artist understands that a good photo is worth so much to the potential of getting coverage for their show. Most
arts organisations will talk to you about funding and getting enough money to support artists and run the work they want to run. That's always a challenge. But definitely challenging for us every year is really making sure that the services and opportunities we're providing engage with artists and are giving artists what they need.
I think the most exciting thing, and one of the reasons why I do what I do, is simply because when the artists get the attention, they are so grateful.
Yeah.
And they are so thrilled with the fact that they've managed to get in the Herald Sun or in MX or in Broadsheet, that they really feel buoyed by that, and it makes them feel a sense of all of the hard work that they've done in the creation of the show will pay off because, all these artists, they work so hard, they have day jobs most of the time, and they do this because they love it.
Mm.
So that's exciting for me when the artists are like, wow, this is fantastic, and it can benefit their careers, and that's absolutely why I get out of bed in the morning.
I was reading that quite a big part of what the Fringe community does is artist development, isn't it, and mentorships and those sorts of things. So that must be a really rewarding aspect of it, to get to see people grow.
Yeah, look, it is, and that's what makes, I think, Melbourne Fringe quite special and a different kind of festival is the support that we give to artists and the relationships that we build, not just with artists, but create opportunities for artists to connect with each other as well. I think some of the things that we do that are really important are advocacy-based, so we feel like we really represent a lot of independent artists to the government and to other bodies too. So a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff is making sure that opportunities for funding and for presentation for artists are being supported through a range of things, and we do that consistently throughout the year.
Could you tell us how you feel that the comedy at Fringe Festival, the sort of comedy that's happening there and the entrance and so forth, differs from, say, the comedy at a major comedy festival, like the Melbourne Comedy Festival? Are there differences there?
I think that at Melbourne Fringe you will find comics doing more exploratory work. So they might be doing works in progress as opposed to the fully polished shows at the comedy festival.
I think that one of the things that we find comedians often do for Melbourne Fringe is explore new work or explore work that maybe sits the fringe of what they do. I think that Melbourne Fringe audiences differ from a lot of other festival audiences. They're a lot more adventurous, and they know that when they go and see a Melbourne Fringe show, it might be a new work, it might be something really new and exciting and different, and they're happy to get on board with that.
I know that people like Rod Quantock, for example, when he decides to come back to do comedy, he comes back to the Fringe as a platform, because it's really about the kinds of incredible audiences that Fringe bring.
Yeah, look, we have a really strong dialogue with Comedy Festival. A really great sort of positive relationship with all of those guys. They come and judge a lot of our comedy awards and really engage. I think that definitely we acknowledge that comedians bring different kind of work to Melbourne Fringe, and definitely we don't want to have a guiding hand in that. We really want to let artists make a decision about the kind of work they want to bring. So there are so many great comedians. What I love about it is that we get, this year we've got a lot of really great returning comedians. So we've got Arj Barker and Rod Quantock coming back to the scene to do shows. But in the same kind of fringe hub, that we've got emerging comedians like Sophie Kneebone and sort of Tessa Waters. So we've got some a really interesting sort of juxtaposition of more established comedians working next to emerging comedians, and that really then allows those emerging comedians to connect with and learn from the more established comedians as well.
The most valuable and important thing that Fringe brings to Melbourne is a place where artists can explore. A place where people from artists from around Australia can explore and expand on their creativity and expand on their work in an environment of support and to really illustrate why Melbourne loves the arts so much, because the audiences are open to sharing with the performers their journey, and I think it's a remarkable environment and such a fertile environment to operate in.
It's a really great job to have, because I'm definitely proud of the festival and the structure of the festival and what we achieve, but I think you're most proud of the work that's not yours. I think that sounds like a strange thing to say, but we're most proud of the work of the artists. Yeah. It's this time of year where we really hand the festival over and just go, it's yours, make the work.